What's up, guys? My name is Andy, and this is my podcast. So, I thought we would title today No to Vance. No to JD Vance. So, earlier in an earlier podcast that I did, I believe the title was Done with Trump, something along those lines. And in that, I said I was done with all of it. I was done with Trump, done with all of the corruption, all of the deceit, all of the depravity, and all of the junk. I'm not voting for any of them until a lot of this stuff gets cleared up and we get answers to a lot of things. And with that, I said I was done with Vance too, done with all of it. And I specifically pointed out Vance because he's probably the most talented. Not only is he the vice president, he's probably the most talented guy in the Republican Party right now, and he seems to be the heir apparent or the shoe-in or shoe-in. I think that's an expression. I don't know. You know what I mean. It's the heir apparent for the 2028 presidential Republican nominee for the 2028 presidential election. People are very excited about him. And I said no to Vance, and some people took that as blasphemy. So I thought I would take the time to clarify my statement a little bit, because I do think it needs clarification, because said no to Vance. Part of me is a fan, part of me isn't. And but either way, I thought it would be necessary to clarify, because he said something not that long ago that was a massive red flag for me. So he just recently did a TPUSA college event. It was the one where they were in Jackson, Mississippi. It was Vance and Erica Kirk were the headliners of this event, where they were speaking to a packed auditorium. And this was the one where like Erica Kirk was like awkwardly rubbing the back of his head, or had her hand on the back of his head. And everyone was like, okay, what was that type thing? And, of course, the picture made the rounds online, and I saw it, and I thought, I don't know what your guys' take on it was, but I saw it and I thought, oh, that's kind of weird. Maybe it was a bad shot or whatever, but it was weird. And my wife saw it. It was funny because our responses were different. I thought, okay, that's awkward. I would never want a woman to hug me that way. It'd be very awkward if she put her hands on the back of my head. So I just try to, never hug people. Just because it's, I don't know, better safe than sorry. Right. But, my wife saw it and was like, no, she didn't. Actually, my wife didn't say that. She's never actually talked like that in her life. That was my interpretation of what my wife said, because she took it. She's like, yeah, no woman is ever going to put her hand on the back of your head like that. That's it. If anybody's going to touch the back of your head, it's going to be me. And I thought, oh, wow, this is a little more serious than I thought. I didn't realize it was such a big deal. I thought it was awkward, maybe a little inappropriate, but whoa, okay, all right. So all right, that's a thing. So, and I don't know what your guys' take on it was. There could be a multitude of reasons why it happened. The awkwardness of the moment. Maybe she's just used to hugging people that way, which I don't, probably should be advised against, because it's kind of weird. Especially if you're going to hug a dude, it just seems a little awkward. But I don't know. There could be a multitude of reasons for it. I don't want to read anything sexual into it. It's not necessary. But I saw it and I thought it was a little weird, and it's unfortunate, right? There's a lot of talk about Erica Kirk right now, and some good, some bad, some a bit of both. You have the crazies on all sides, and I think it's all unfortunate. I think. What she probably should have done is just gotten out of the public eye for a few months, because there's no way to get away from this stuff, right? Your husband was just publicly murdered. It's probably not best to be in front of the camera all of the time, because when you put yourself in, I've told my kids this, if you put yourself out for public consumption, you're going to get public praise and ridicule. if you put yourself out there, you have to expect both. That's just the way that it is. Anytime you open your mouth, people are they're going to interpret that and do with that whatever they want. Some good, some bad. And that's happening now. So you have people that are running to her defense, and there are people that are saying, "Hey, this is weird." I'm of the mindset that I'm not implying any nefarious intent or any guilt to any degree, but I just think it's weird. And I think a lot of her behavior it seems weird because, I mean, there could be a multitude of reasons for it, right? Whatever. I don't know. But I think the way to mitigate that weirdness and remove any type of speculation is to just go home and be with your kids. Get your house in order. Your husband was just publicly murdered in front of the world. Yeah, it was traumatic for everybody that witnessed it. I'm sure it was that for her 1,000-fold. Probably not good to be out in front of the cameras all of the time or speaking at events. I don't know. That would just be my advice, but for what it's worth. But anyway, that was my point being, it was the whole head rubbing event, which sounds even awkward to say, but that was the one. So Vance spoke there and Erica Kirk spoke there. And, the reason why I'm saying no to Vance is because of something that he said. And at least it's not a no in total, but it's a no right now, because he said something that made me really, really uncomfortable, because he said the quiet part out loud. It wasn't no one has caught this. I've heard no one respond to this. And for me, it was a red flag. And I just want to share it with you. So first of all, it was in the Q&A. It was something that he said in the Q&A. And to his credit, he did a Q&A. Like, that's never happened, right? At least to my knowledge, where you have a sitting vice president that's willing to put himself in a public forum like that to answer unscripted questions. And to do so, I believe he did it for well over an hour, which is pretty impressive and not easy to do if you've ever been in that situation, especially if you have no idea what's coming at you. So it shows the competency of the man. And I part of me thinks, okay, there are things about him that are very impressive. The fact that he was willing to do that, I think, speaks volumes about him. And that's a wonderful thing. And I also think he's the most talented guy in the Republican Party right now by far. He's certainly the best communicator, a far better communicator than Trump, and a far, far better communicator than Trump, and a far better articulator of MAGA doctrine, whatever that is. But he's a better communicator in that regard, and he's got a great story, and he looks the part, and all of these things, right? So all the things. So people are looking at him. They're very optimistic. They're very hopeful, and he's the current vice president. The trajectory makes sense. So I understand why people are excited about him. I get the hype. So and all everything that I just said, it's legitimate praise for the guy, right? So I'm not doing this podcast just to bust the guy's balls. That's not necessary. But he said something. I forget the exact nature of the question, but a student got up. I'm assuming it was a student, not necessarily. I think it was a guy in his early 20s, asked about Thomas Massie and his desire to have the Epstein files released and the rift that was causing. Like, why, if Massey's doing something that the administration said that they were for before the election, why is Trump constantly bashing Massey on social media? Why is he attacking him regularly? Which is a very good question. Why would you do that, right? And Vance, to his credit, gave an honest answer. Now, it's the honest part that is good, but it also is revealing. And it made me a little uncomfortable. And I'm not quoting him verbatim. I'm sure you could go on YouTube and find it. But he said a lot of complimentary things about Massey. He said Massey's, he loves Massey. He's a great guy. When Vance went to Congress, first went there, Massey's office was down the hall. Massey came and talked to him, and they started a relationship. He's a great guy, all the things, right? So he says all of the pleasantries about him. He's the real deal. He doesn't agree with him on everything, but he's a great guy. But then he said, and this is what was troubling to me, Massey is a guy who repeatedly votes against the party, which is interesting because the conservative rating that he gets is very high. Like as far as voting consistently conservative, I think it's like 91% or something along those lines. So he's a consistent conservative, right? So, but Vance said when you vote against the party several times, pretty soon the party will turn on you. The party will turn its back on you. Something along those lines. Like if you go against the party enough, pretty soon the party's going to go against you. And I thought, oh, wow, that was a moment of absolute honesty. Everyone knows that, but he just said the quiet part out loud. And I thought, I'm not comfortable with that at all. Like that's not why Massey or any other congressman is put in their position. They're put there to represent their voters. They're put there to represent the people in their district. And their votes should be reflective of the things that they ran on that people put them there to do. Loyalty, and I bring this up because I don't think it's something that our president understands. Loyalty doesn't mean that you agree with somebody 100% of the time. That's not loyalty. That's either pandering or fear. Or on the other side of it, it's abuse and manipulation. Right? That's not loyalty, right? My wife being loyal to me doesn't mean that she agrees with everything that I could ever possibly say and do everything that I command to do, regardless of what that thing is. So I think Massey's been very consistent. Matter of fact, I think Massey's been much more consistent with what Trump said before the election than with what Trump's done after the election. So to say that if you do that enough, the party will go against you, my first thought is that's the problem. That is 100% the problem. That's why we put you there in the first place, was to go against that. Right? Who is the party? Who are these people who are making these decisions? It becomes this nebulous, ambiguous thing, like the party wants. That's like a corporation where the people of the corporation that are actually making the decisions are absolved of any type of legal accountability because the corporation made this decision or the corporation did this, or the Republican Party does this, or who you would assume that it's Republican representatives, but that's not the case, right? You're looking at big donors and a lot of other people who have authority with no position of authority, who are making decisions with no accountability to the voters. And I'm not comfortable with any of that. So if Vance is like, this is the way that things are done, which it's most certainly the case, I have a big problem with that. That's why I wanted you in there in the first place, because I don't want things to be done that way. I want you to represent the people. You serve the people. It's the people that put you there. It's the people that you should be accountable to, not the party, right? Not the people that are paying your tab, but the people that put you there to represent them. So, yes, he's right. He spoke the truth, but man, do I have a big problem with that. That is reflective of so many things that are wrong with our country right now. So I'm just not comfortable with that. That really kind of was a red flag for me. And I just think that's if if that's what he's saying, this is the case, that's how he's going to govern, with that being the case. And I think when do you then go against the party? Like who's making these decisions, right? There's all of these decisions that are being made, and the public is being manipulated to believe certain things so that your decisions then look justified when they're not reflective of the will of the people at all. I don't know. I have a problem with that. And my problem with that is probably not going to change anything, but I share that with you because I want my problems to be your problems, right? I just give that to you. And I hope I hope that makes sense. I hope you see it that way. And maybe I'm just making an appeal, to y'all so that you, can be crazy with me. I don't know, but I know that if that type of thinking and that type of business doesn't change, nothing will change. It's not just the Republicans. Obviously, it's the Democrats. The Democrats are probably just a lot more open and honest about it, really, which is why we're all disgusted with them. We should be just as disgusted when the Republicans do that behind closed doors. So there you go. That's all I got for you today, except for one last thing, a shameless plug for my book, Dude Devotional Volume 1, Meditations on Badassery and Other Masculine Stuff. Just came out a couple weeks ago. It's quickly becoming our best-selling book, which is very, very exciting. It's a ton of fun. It's encouraging. It's challenging. It's going to bust your balls a little bit. There's 15 meditations based on masculine poems that will hopefully be challenging and encouraging for you. And you're going to have fun while you're being challenged and encouraged. So it's $14.99. It's on Amazon in all the formats. And make sure to get it now and be one of the many that's enjoying it and partaking of it. And reviews are always helpful. Your feedback is always helpful. So that's all I got for you today. And have a good day. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us on social media and all the places.